In today's episode, I'm going to convince you that a buy-to-let property is an exciting opportunity for 2025 and that this is the time that you should be using to buy investment properties. Welcome to the Property Corner with myself, Rowan Alexander. So there's always this debate, when is the right time to be buying an investment property, and I think this is one of the seasons, 2025 will be one of the seasons that it's really a good time to buy investment property. Why? There's a lot of things happening in the market. I'll try and give you some of my insights as to why I think it's the right time. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is the peak of the interest rate cycle. The interest rate cycle peaked in September 2024 when the prime lending rate was at 11.75%. So what happens in these high interest rate cycles is that property pricing is typically suppressed, because access to finance, accessibility, the ease of becoming a property owner, sort of it becomes more restrictive. You find that property prices are more subdued. As the interest rate cycles, downwards, you'll find that property pricing grows more aggressively. So this creates two opportunities. Number one, it allows you to maybe buy a property below a potential market value because you're going to be buying sort of at the peak or just after the peak, where prior to the pricing sort of escalating. Then secondly, if you do become a property owner now on the downward cycle, the cost of interest is going to be cheaper the longer you hold on to that property. Sure, it will cycle upwards again, but remember, in the early phase of the property ownership, where you're paying predominantly interest on your loan and only servicing a little bit of capital, this is the most volatile time of the investment because your interest expense ratio is pretty high relative to your installment. So if you can capitalize on this on a downward cycle, this sort of minimizes the effect of the interest payment. And if you're able to make additional payments and you sort of pay a little bit more than your required installment, you could potentially get into a position where you're in advance payment very early on in the loan. As you know, making this sort of content isn't easy. We wouldn't be able to do it without the support of our local partners and sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Headzone Automotive Engineering and Workshop. Headzone does all automotive engineering, engine rebuilding, and motor vehicle servicing. Headzone is a family-run business and it's situated in Brackenfell, right round the corner from our business. They've been in the town for nearly 20 years and are a well-known and established brand in the area. Headzone offers excellent client service and they've recently gone as far as to offer all of our clients a free pre-holiday inspection. So go and check out their Facebook page to see what they're about for all your automotive engineering, repair, and servicing needs. So thank you to Headzone for sponsoring this episode and making this sort of content possible. Secondly, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that we're projecting that rentals will escalate strongly over the short to medium term. And this is largely due to the low base effect that we're still recovering from COVID and lockdown. When the interest rates cycled low and affordability was or access to finance was easier because interest rates were low, we saw this whole big exodus of tenants opting to buy, capitalizing on the low interest rate cycle, and this put rentals under pressure. Now we're still in the period where rentals are only now starting to recover. So in saying that, if your sums make sense and if you can make the sums work now, looking forward as rental prices escalate, it's probably going to be a lot easier to hold on to that property. Thirdly, interest rate is at one of the lowest points for many years. So what does this do? It does not only help your affordability by having more disposable income, it also allows for tenants to be able to absorb the increased escalations because they have more disposable income from having lower credit cost on all other forms of credit. Now remember, when the interest rate cycles downwards, it's not only on mortgage installments, it's also on vehicle loans, clothing accounts, credit cards, any form of credit. And once you've accumulated or totaled all of those interest cost savings, that will put tenants in a position where they can actually afford to keep up with the rental escalations that are predicted. Likewise, for you as the owner, if we do enter into periods where there's more disposable income, that will give you more safety and more security for you to build up reserve funds to be able to account for any unforeseen costs that you have during the period of ownership. So to summarize, we foresee that interest rates are going to be going down in 2025, continue to go down, or at least stabilize. We're seeing that household income, disposable income, is probably going to improve, and inflation will continue to be low during this period. This sets us up for buying rental properties right now. 2025 is the season to be invested in property. If you aren't yet invested, if you're an inspiring investor, you need to make plans now to capitalize on the market conditions which are favorable to you right now. Remember that if you can make these sums and the finances work now, it will only get easier down the line. So I want to encourage you and motivate you to say, if you've been thinking about this, or if you already have a portfolio and you're looking to grow it, and you may potentially have ideas to grow it later in this year, try and expedite that process and get going earlier rather than later so that you can have the full benefit of these market conditions. 3 out of every 4 people that watch this channel are not subscribed to the channel. It's a 73% of all watchers haven't subscribed. Subscribers are what builds our channel and allows us to do more things and create better content. So if you're finding value from these videos and you're enjoying them, please take the time to consider subscribing and maybe sharing this channel with people that you feel could extract some value out of it too. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it's motivating you to get into the buy-to-let market, and reach out if you have any questions. We offer consultations where we are able to look at your affordability, look at what you qualify for, help you analyze your investment decision. So reach out to the channel and set that appointment up if you'd like to discuss these things further.